Okay.
Okay.
So no, actually, that's good. All of that's great.
It is.
I
Okay.
felt you resonating with it. I could feel it. All right. It took you a while to get there, but I was the same way for a while because most of my early life, up until maybe about 10 years ago, if you asked me, well, tell me about yourself, I would just simply say, well, I'm an actor. I do theater,
Right,
I work
right,
in a Shakespeare company, yada, yada, yada. Over the past 10 years, I've become equally a coach and a speaker. So, in the
right.
midst of that, probably, I don't know, about 3 or 4 years ago, you said, well, tell me about yourself. Well,
That's
because I
how
have
I
these other
feel.
three things and I'm like trying to make it like make sense. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes,
Uh,
yes.
and so what I had to do is for my transition, I had to just say I'm an actor, speaker, and coach. And then I began to break it down. What do I do as a coach? I coach people in a way that an actor would. I coach people and I tell them stories and help them tell stories. I also speak, which I consider as a part of acting. And in all three areas, I love to encourage and inspire people. So I guess you can say in general, I'm a storyteller. You
I
see how
love
I
it.
did that? Yeah. So
Yes,
but let's do what's yours. Let's do what's yours. So good. Do you have something to write with or
I do. Yes.
okay. So just shorthand what you just said, and I'll kind of prompt you. You mentioned, and by the way, the theme is that you're a bit of an advocate, or you represent people, you serve clients to help them get the best of what they need. Is basically in general is the through line of being an agent, an attorney, and in staffing. But you mentioned you like to help and support people. I believe is what you said.
Yes.
And so that's a great end. Tell me about yourself. Well, be quite honest, I really enjoy helping people. So what I do so basically you enter in. I started off as an attorney. And so write that down and then put 1, 2, 3 under it. And then I transitioned to being an agent, sports agent. Put that down, put 1, 2, 3 under it. And now what I'm doing is I'm a staffer and then put 1, 2, 3 under it. So let's go to you as an attorney. So tell me just a little bit more about that. When you were an attorney, what was that like? Um, how did that serve you in being able to serve them as an attorney? How did that? How did
See, this is
how
how
did
it
that?
gets a little bit screwy, right?
Uh,
Darius, because it's one of those things where so I see this is why I get all kind of turned about because it's like
uh,
then I get into my truth, right? My truth is that I really wanted to be in music. I love music.
oh, I
My
see.
truth is that I really love music, right? And I went into I became a lawyer because I didn't know how to be taken seriously in the music business.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so I became an attorney in hopes that I would be taken seriously. And I don't think that I completed my dream of a music attorney because I just didn't like the people and I didn't like so I worked for Puffy, right? I worked for
Oh,
Puffy.
oh,
And
wow.
so like now I can say that and it makes so much more sense, right? So, you know,
Yeah.
but
Oh, wow.
I worked for Puffy and I was I was in high school, so I was like an internship, and I just couldn't be taken seriously. I was a young girl, and it was just a very difficult environment, right, for a young girl. So I left his office, but then I got referred to a entertainment law firm that represented like Jay-Z and a bunch of guys who were just on the come up, just starting to come up, and um I like the idea of becoming an entertainment lawyer because again, all I wanted to do was be taken seriously, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, and so I go to law school, I come out, I'm practicing, and I'm still coming across the same barriers of
Mm-hmm.
entry, which is, just inappropriate conversations, inappropriate exposure, constantly having to deal with nonstop kind of harassment, right?
Yeah.
It's a very pervasive, it's harassment and music in the music is very pervasive. So, um, I didn't like the people.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like the way that I couldn't be taken seriously. And so I think that, so I kind of ran from, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a venture, but I just
Oh,
want you
no,
to,
it's okay.
I'm trying to give you a full picture of what actually happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So while I wanted to help my client, I found myself always having to, I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable for the entire time. So I don't think that I ever was able to help. I mean, I'm sure I helped people along the way, but I don't think I ever really reached the goal of wanting to help because
Hmm.
I I don't know why. I mean, I know some other women who were able to really thrive in music. I just was not able to. So I kind of feel a little defeated, to be honest
Uh-huh.
with you. I
Mm-hmm.
feel a little bit like maybe I gave up, maybe I gave up too soon. Maybe, I don't know. I feel a number of different ways about it that makes me uncomfortable.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I went corporate after that, still within the music business. That ended up being a disaster, ended up with a sexual harassment lawsuit, and then I ran completely away from that. So I ran away from the music business.
Mm.
And I still miss it. I still miss it, right? But
Wow.
I ran away from it in 2009.
Oh, wow.
So it's been quite some time and then start 2009. Maybe it was 2010.
Uh-huh.
But the point is that I ran away from it, and I had built a lot of contacts in the business. I thought that was where my career was going to be, and then I just, obviously because of a lawsuit, you things change, and I went a different direction, which is when I became a sports agent. And similar to that, sports and music, same guys, different
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
different talent.
Yeah.
So then I decided I wanted to get married, right? Darius,
Mm.
and I wanted to have a family and I wanted to get away from all this stuff. So I stopped everything and then I went and started staffing, and it's been safe because I haven't met anybody, right? It's been
I got
safe.
you.
I don't meet with my clients. I hide. I have been hiding. I have been hiding for 10 years,
Oh,
right? And I'm tired of hiding. I so I feel a little lost. I guess that's
yeah.
my
Yeah,
I
it's okay.
feel a little bit lost. So
Yeah.
and I'm trying to in some way find myself, but this is the reason why it's so hard for me to go into the specifics of like the one, two, three of an attorney. I guess, I was represented.
Well,
Yeah,
before you go on, I'm glad, thank you. I'm glad that you felt comfortable to share everything that you shared, and you're not alone. I'm an actor. I'm in entertainment too, so it's no
right. So
different.
this business is
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it is. It is. I mean, and I've had some traumatic things happen too. I don't know if you had a chance to look at my TED talk.
I did not. I will
Didn't?
check it out though. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of them, but I think, Joy, that we should disregard everything that I just told you for
Oh
right,
gosh. Okay.
because remember, ethos, ethos. You have to resonate. You have to believe, and you have to believe in yourself and that you are the vessel through which the information could come, right? So even though you have experience and expertise in the attorney world, there sounds to me like there's enough trauma where it's hard for you to resonate in that space to talk about it. To me, that's what it seems like. And
Yeah.
that the stories that you, through the course of time, that you're probably still telling yourself, and the what you're playing in your imagination, which is in your past, is so thick right now that what you said after that is really where the space we need to live in. which is right where you are right now, who you really are, that you're creative. It sounds to me like you're creative. Is that right?
I'd say, yes, I'm a dreamer. I love
Yeah,
to create. I love
yeah,
new business. I like to dream. I like to
yeah,
dream things up.
yeah. And so, because if I'm understanding correctly, you were literally an artist first before you became an attorney. Is that right? Or were you an
No,
attorney?
no, just have a complete I've always just loved music. So I'm not talented myself, but I've
The energy
always
of
been
entertainment.
drawn, yeah, always
Got,
been drawn to music.
okay, got you, got you. So, I think there's a couple of things I want you to think about. One, um, and this is just to throw it out there. Um, the public speaking world is a world similar to acting and in music in that you have an opportunity to engage people and to inspire people and to be a part of people's transformation. I will
Right,
say that thus far, I have not experienced any of some of the things that you can experience in entertainment, just so you know. And so, you know, I just wanted to put that out there that some of the
right.
things that I can show you can help you live in that world if that is something that you think you're aspiring to do. And it may not be, but I wanted to just at least name
Well,
that.
yeah, I mean, I think that part of I so I feel like I enjoy helping others. I
Okay.
also believe that I have spent a really large amount of my time doing that and
Uh-huh.
not helping myself enough, right?
Okay.
So that also lives in that space. So, for instance, I have a call today at 2 o'clock with uh one entertainment attorney and her co-host. They have a podcast. I used to have a podcast. I used to have a
Oh,
podcast. I don't know. I have a podcast studio too. I mean, so I told you I have all this stuff going
yes,
on, but I
okay.
have a
Yeah.
podcast, and so and they want me to be their podcast producer. And so I've never done. I mean, I've done some production stuff, some producing, but not really.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the person like so there's a part of me that wants to do it, right?
Uh-huh.
Because I feel like I want to show people that I can do all things, right?
Uh-huh.
And then the other part of me is like, how much more of my time am I going to spend making others great? And when
Uh-huh.
am I going to spend time making myself great? Right. So
Yeah.
I feel, and so I literally wrote notes just like 4 o'clock in the morning, just saying like, you know, there's a part of me that also is tired of hiding,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so I've taken on so many things, even with the pod. When I had my podcast, it was uncomfortable for me to be in the limelight. Um, and it also wasn't so bad.
Uh-huh.
But then COVID happened, and then I went back to hiding, right? So,
Right.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
So
I knew I could speak. I thought I was like, why did I come out the shadows? I should have stayed in the shadows, you know.
yeah.
Um, so
I
I also, so when you say that, I don't think that hiding serves me,
uh-huh.
but it feels safe.
Sure. Yeah, of
So
course.
I haven't quite figured out that either. I mean, listen. I hope that you had, I'm crazy.
No, it's not. You're not. Listen, you're not alone. You're telling my story. Maybe well, two things. One, um, yes, it sounds to me like hiding isn't serving you. Also, two, it sounds to me like um, you know, spring water. flowing into a desert annihilates itself because the desert has no capacity to give back.
Right.
And
Right.
so you don't want to keep sending your spring water into deserts.
Right.
You want to send your spring water into spring water. And you have to recognize that you are spring water because of how you have made people great, but then also too, your gifts, talents, and intelligence has enabled you to become who you are today. You know, I can't even imagine even thinking about like literally like even applying an application to go to law school,
Right. Right.
let alone what you have to go through. But you did it. You did the attorney, you did these things and you got the skills and you've gone through this and you survived it. And I can tell, in all honesty, you are a natural born communicator. Um, I can see it, plain as day. Um, and so you've been giving and giving and giving, but maybe it's time now to give to yourself. But giving to yourself also is giving to entities that's going to give back,
Right.
where it's reciprocal. So that's one thing I want you to think about. The other thing is, I think we've got to find a way. I think that the question.
Oh God.
So tell me about yourself is a little deeper
Yeah.
than what I thought.
I'm telling you,
So,
it's
but it's
a bottomless
okay. It's
pit.
okay.
Right.
Now let me be clear. I'm a coach and I'm an actor primarily, and I'm a coach. But I do deal with ethos. I really, really deal a lot with my speakers, what that is. Um,
Sorry about that. Okay.
oh, that's okay. Uh, and what I mean by that is primarily with yourself, whether it's Brandis, who is kind of a seasoned communicator, whether it's a person that's professionally speaking or a leader in a corporation, it always comes back in the beginning to this, that there's an experience that we've had and there's a story we've been telling ourselves that's blocking us, and that we need to reverse a lot of that. So I do believe in that. Now, I got to make it clear that I'm not in any way, shape, or form a therapist or a psychologist or anything like that.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
but
Right.
but I do, you know what I mean? But I do delve into what it really means to take care of yourself. To take care of yourself. Why? Because whoever you comes to that stage is who the audience gets. So if you come to the stage, no matter how much you're
Right.
inspiring people,
Right.
but if in the closet, you have to go constantly do crack,
Right.
to survive. Well,
Right. 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 It's gonna
eventually
come
that's
out.
going to show up too. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
It's
Right.
going to
Of
show up.
course. Yeah.
And it's not that we don't have skeletons in our closet and that we're perfect, but all I'm saying is there's got to be a way that you take care of yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, because when you get on that stage or you're in front of somebody in that moment, you're representing something, yourself, a company, a brand, whatever the case may be. And so in that moment, you are a leader. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so we really need to first get real and get authentic and start there.
Right.
Are you okay with that?
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm desperate to get to the
Now,
bottom of what's going on.
well, now let me, if you don't mind, I think that this is very much a part of what we need to do. Let me give you just a brief of my story.
Okay. Fantastic.
So, to make a long story short, do the best I can. If you saw me right now, I'm 5'11", probably 190 pounds, and what have you. I've been this size since I was 13.
Wow.
And I used to
Yeah.
have sideburns.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Everybody thought I was a senior. Uh,
Right.
my girlfriend was 19.
Oh my gosh.
I'm 13 years old.
Oh my
Anyway,
gosh,
I
right.
practiced martial art and I got involved in the whole street thing. And what got me out of it was theater. Make a long story short. I get into the story. You might find it on YouTube somewhere.
I saw something. I saw it was brief. It was like kind of like a overlays, like kind of
Yeah,
a, you know,
yeah, yeah,
macro version of it, right?
yeah. And so as soon as I got into theater, things opened up. I learned how to communicate. I learned a lot of what I teach, and it opened up doors. And I went to a really great performing arts school, Interlochen Arts Academy, and things were going well. And then I went to Purchase,
All
which
right.
is right in up in Westchester County.
Right.
Great acting theater school. And second semester, I went to college at seven. I was 17 when I went to college. Second semester of a conservatory now that's on the level of Juilliard.
Right.
Wasn't quite ready for that. 18 years old, I get involved with a Christian cult.
Oh no.
Yeah. And the irony is the street life, when the gang members found out they saw me in the play, they told me not to go that route that they told me not to go the route that they were going.
Right.
They told me to follow my dream and act.
Right. Right.
And they let me out of the gang. Ironically enough, the Christian cult told me to give up acting.
Oh.
And so after my sophomore year, I did.
Oh.
Massively traumatic experience I put myself through, my family through, and got out of it, fortunately. And a few years later, I was back at it as a professional again. So I'm rolling, I write a one man show on Malcolm X, and I'm touring and yada 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 yada. And LA calls, and I'm in Los Angeles. Before I go to Los Angeles, my mother finds out she has breast cancer.
Oh
And while I'm in
no.
LA and things are really about to take off, NBC casting is, President NBC calls me in his office, and the day that I have my appointment with him, my mother passes away,
Oh
and
my
my
God.
whole world turns upside down.
Upside down. Right.
And I start losing things, my car, my place. Fortunately, I was called by a theater company in Brooklyn to be a part of a theater festival. And so I took a bus because I had no car anymore,
Right.
way out to New York. They put me up in a brownstone. Unfortunately, it was a group of talented actors and directors and writers. One of the writers overdosed and died. And it was a house full of drugs and alcohol.
Oh gosh. Oh no.
And I
Right.
took part.
Right. Right. You had a good
you
time.
know,
Right.
so that turned into a nightmare. The show went well, and like I said, everybody was talented, but it was a scary thing because it was drug dealers that were coming by, Russian drug dealers. I find out that the artistic director borrowed money from the mob.
Oh
So
Lord.
they had a plant in the company who was a numbers guy, but his uncle was a made man and he was on his way to being one.
Oh Lord.
So here I am, just completely, I fail, Lord have mercy, at waiting tables.
Right.
Fail miserably. I can't even run food to the table. So I get fired from some Moroccan, wine and dine. So
Right.
I'm without a job. The only thing I know to do is to do strictly commission sales, and that's not working out. And so I end up homeless.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm in somewhere in Brooklyn in East Flatbush pushing a cart. Trying
No,
to get
my
paid.
God. No, my
So
gosh.
then one day, I was homeless, but there now and then there were people who knew me. I was on the poet scene, the spoken word scene, and some of the poets and Brooklyn Moon Cafe. Are you familiar with Fort Greene?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I am. Yeah.
Yeah, Brooklyn Moon Cafe. I used to do poetry there back in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
So, every now and then I had a place to stay. And so anyway, um, one day I'm sitting in Fort Greene Park And I'm looking over the bench that I was sitting on, and to my left, I could see 40 acres and a mule. You know where I am in Fort Greene Park?
I think yeah, somewhat,
Somewhat,
yes.
okay. 40 acres and a mule. And then there was this coffee shop back then called the Cocoa Bar, which
Okay.
was run by Alice Walker's daughter. And
Wow.
I'm sitting there with a 40 ounce
Right. Because
barbecue free.
you could get a 40
Oh,
ounce, right?
oh yeah, I can get the 40 ounce. No, they were
Get
like
the
a
more liquor,
dollar.
right?
Yeah, at
Right.
the
Yeah, no,
bodega, right?
no. Yes.
So I'm sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to work for Spike Lee and I'm going to work at that coffee shop. Well, I
Right.
didn't work for Spike Lee, but I did get into the coffee shop, I was still homeless, but there was a woman there that eventually some guy moved out of her room. She was renting, and so she rented her room, one of her rooms, to me. So anyway, that was my journey back to life. So my point is during that time, as I began to get back and I got an agent and things started to kind of build back, but the trauma of what had happened to me was constantly helping me to doubt myself.
Yes.
And I also found myself doing other things to keep the ball rolling throughout all of my 30s and my 40s. For the most part, I was mainly acting, but I did learn how to do outside sales. And so I would do that from time to time. And even though I would make money, it was soul killing for me.
Right.
um, and it wasn't until 2011 that I had a major event happen that shifted me rather outside in. I started to live from the inside out. And
Fascinating.
what I mean by that is I was blessed to enter into this space. I don't want to take up all of our time telling my story, but this space of a more of a meditative, prayerful, breathing existence that completely
Right.
transformed my experience, strength, and hope and happiness. Because most of my life I spent mainly depressed and angry and frustrated. But since 2011, I've been more happy, joyous, and free.
I love it.
But it took though me to do exactly what is happening with you, where I had to shift. I really had to shift my focus. I had to shift where I was sending my spring water. I was hiding in a different way.
Right.
I really was. And I had to begin to learn through the course of time how to show up for myself. And as I learned how to show up for myself, I could show up for other people. I could never be doing this prior to 2011.
Right.
Yeah, I couldn't
Right.
be.
Yeah, you were a different person.
I
Different
was.
person. Right.
I was. Yeah. And so I say that to say that you're not alone, and I understand. I
Which is
understand.
very, very, very encouraging because I think that, when you're told, I guess it's just too much, when you're told to, you know, simmer down, pipe it down, don't be so, be less you, right? Stop trying to take all the attention.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, come on. Like, you're always trying, no one wants to listen to what you have to say. You ain't talking about nothing.
Mm,
When you're constantly hearing that, right? Or, and since I was like a little girl,
mm.
always hearing, you think you're all that.
Oh wow.
You need to just sit down somewhere. Um, all those things, I think, and again, you're not a therapist, but I think what it is that
Yeah.
you, I like to dress. I like to, I like to, I don't know, I'm pretty social. I like to, I enjoy helping. I enjoy being around people. I enjoy all those things. I naturally like get in the middle of something and saying, so what's going on with you? You need help? What do you need? What can I do for you? I
Yeah.
want to be, I'm naturally that. But then when you keep on hearing that you're too much, no one wants your advice, no one wants, you just tend to just shrink.
Yeah.
Um, and because I'm kind of I'm somewhat of an empath, um, what I've learned to do is I've learned to kind of sit back, be quiet, figure out what does this person need to be in this moment,
Hmm.
and then I will become that. So if I feel like if I'm around somebody who, like this meeting that I had last Thursday, which prompted me to contact Brandis to call you, um, she was very accomplished attorney, very much involved with, serving, the people who needed it the most. The older woman, 70s. So what does she need? She needs maybe to play low, be very respectful, kiss the ring. I'm asking her for something, so I don't need to be too here. I need to just kind of be safe, right?
Uh-huh.
And my mentor saw that, like, why are you shrinking? Why aren't you speaking up to what you've accomplished? Why aren't you stepping out? Why, like, who is this person? I don't even know who she is. Why are you completely dimmed yourself to make yourself more digestible? And that's my fear is that I'm going to be too much. So I
Mm.
always shy away,
Oh, wow.
So it's interesting because I met Brandis. Again, my husband is from Memphis, but Brandis and I got close because she was asking me how to start HFR.
Oh, wow.
And she comes to our apartment and we spend, I don't know how many hours, and I'm giving her tips and this and that. And, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this. And she's writing things down now, I mean, I think I might have had a brand new baby at the time when she came. So maybe this might be 11 years ago, 12
Uh-huh.
years ago. And then I look at all that she's accomplished and it's just dynamite.
Uh-huh.
It's just, it's just dynamite, right?
Yeah.
And it's because she never shrunk. It's because she really went for it, right?
Uh-huh.
And I feel like I'm over here shrinking and she went for it, right? Um, and she comes to me for my advice. And it
Hmm.
wasn't legal advice. It was just that she saw something in me that made her think that I would know.
Yeah.
But I don't see it myself and I don't go for it.
Yeah, well,
That's the irony, right? So
look, let me
I'm sorry. I missed close this door really quickly. One second. All right.
oh, no problem, no problem.
I know my daughter's listening to every single word I'm saying, but it is what it is.
That's all right. I hope she hears
It's okay.
this.
Right,
Hope she
right.
hears this. So I'm going to tell you one other story. It's more of a famous folklore that I've kind of played with, and just to see what you think about it. So once there was this eagle's egg, and it was placed into the nest of chickens. And one day, the eaglet hatched, looked around, saw that she was surrounded by all these little chickens. So the eagle, she began to act like a chicken.
Right,
Eagle began to
right,
walk like a chicken.
right.
The eagle began to talk like a chicken. The eagle pecked his neck in the ground like a chicken. And then the eagle flew only a few feet off the ground like a chicken. So one day the eagle grew up and she looked in the sky and she saw this speck, and the speck became a ball, and the ball became a bird, and the bird became a huge beast flying in the sky, soaring in the winds. And when the eagle thought his chicken saw, said, "Wow, what kind of bird is that? I want to be just like her." But one of the chickens said, "Oh, well, that's an eagle, the queen of all the birds. But don't you give it a second thought. You'll never be like her." So the eagle never ever gave it a second thought and almost died one day still thinking she was a chicken. What a tragedy. Built to soar
I
in the
know.
heavens, but spent the rest of her life flying only a few feet off the ground until the big old brown beautiful bird flying in the sky soaring away. And when the big old brown beautiful bird saw the eagle playing with the chickens, they said, "Hey there, young sister, what you doing down there with all them chickens? Why don't you come on up here with me and fly high in the sky and soar in the winds?" But the eagle thought she was a chicken, said, "Book, book, 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 book. Excuse me, ma'am, you're greatly mistaken. I am a chicken."
Right.
But the big old brown bird laughed and said, "Whoo, whoo, whoo, the devil is a lie. You are an eagle." Look at your big old brown feathers help protect you when you're flying close to the sun. And look at your big old brown wings help you power yourself up. And whoo, look at your big old feet help you catch your prey and your fierce eyes to help you have great vision. But then the chicken said, "Don't listen to that big old brown bird in the sky. She's lying to you. Besides, nobody's allowed to fly any higher than any of us can fly.
Uh-huh.
You are a chicken. You're just a deformed chicken. That's the reason why you look the way you do." So in this moment, the eagle, who thought she was a chicken, had to make a choice. She could choose to believe she was an eagle, or she could choose to believe she was a chicken, and there was a sense of freedom in the choice. So she chose to believe she was an eagle. She began to flap her wings and flew higher and higher and grew stronger and stronger and flew high into her destiny.
I love it. I love
That's,
it. Yes,
yeah.
I love it.
So what I want us to do first, and since most times when people come to me, they come like Brandis. She'll come because she has need of a specific event, and that
Right.
happens more often than not. Every now and then, I get a student like yourself that's coming to me for something much bigger. And I think that though I'm not a therapist, a lot of, you know, um, I got to tell you this for it to make sense. There's a young man back in the 30s who was a great investor and was just knocking it out of the park. But this young man knew that in order to grow himself and grow his business, is going to have to learn how to public speak. So he went to take a Dale Carnegie course, and Dale Carnegie, they make you share a lot. And so when it was his turn to share, he quit. Went
You know,
back.
I took Dale Carnegie. It's so funny. I took Dale because I also have a terrified of public speaking. And so I took the course and I can't, like, I still can't look at the tapes because I sobbed. I got up there and started crying and could not stop crying.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they made me keep going. They made me, oh, they like, okay, all right, take a minute. Now go back up there. And I'm like, ah,
Right. That's what they do.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
this
Listen to
person
something,
quit.
tell me. Right.
But when this person got home, they realized that in order to really grow themselves and grow their business, they were gonna have to learn how to public speak, no matter how good they were at investing. So this person went back, took the course, finished it, and when you walk into Warren Buffett's home,
Right.
you won't
Right.
see his business degrees, but you will see that certificate on public speaking. And this is what Warren Buffett told a graduating Columbia class. If you public speak, it'll increase your value 50 to 60%, and it'll be an asset that'll last you 50 or 60 years. But if you don't do it, it'll be a liability that'll last you a lifetime. Public speaking not only increases your net worth, but it also increases your self worth. So what I'm teaching is in your circumstances is to increase your self worth, and it will do
Right.
that. Same thing with acting. One of my acting teachers said, to be a good actor, you have to learn how to be a good person. To really get the art, you also have to. You can't be a bad person. Really determined to do wrong, because then you become a con artist.
Right.
Uh, But to do the art correctly, you have it because it affects your life. It's impossible for it not to. Storytelling, acting, public speaking is a yoga of the soul, literally.
That's
It's
fascinating. The
yeah,
yoga
medical
of
proof.
the soul.
It really is. It's the same benefits for the storyteller as practicing yoga. It lowers the blood
Fascinating.
pressure. It relieves stress, anxiety, just all the benefits. The whole list is a parallel when you're telling stories. So I think where we want to start is really there, and I think the thing that we will work on and work toward, and I think the better thing to do, by the way, is really just to kind of dive into the techniques itself, as opposed to just zeroing in on who am I, or tell me about yourself. I
Right.
think what I really want to do is I want to teach you how to tell your story, your real story. Not having to reveal anything you don't want to reveal, by the way,
Mhm.
but we want to get you resonating with the true joy. I
Right.
like a,
Right. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
the true
I know.
joy.
No.
Yeah,
Because
because
so
yeah,
part of that is also like, the fear of when I was at some point I was this authentic authentically me,
yeah,
and I was dealing with the chicken.
yeah,
Right. So how do I deal with my people pleasing whatever and trying to listen to the chicken, but then also wanting to soar and the fear that comes with um the rejection of the chicken, right?
yeah,
Because I mean, I think that a lot of people in my life have gotten used to me being with the chickens.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
even my husband, right? Maybe even my husband has gotten
yeah,
used to me hanging out with the chickens. Maybe he ain't really ready for me to start soaring. So it's like, how do you deal with the fear of potentially rocking the boat,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I don't,
yeah,
and it's rhetorical, right? I'm not suggesting that it has an answer, but I think just to kind of, I'm just trying to bring you to where I am mentally and with all this fear because I've been around so many people that have said, you're a chicken.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm the big old brown beautiful bird flying in the sky, soaring in the wind.
Right?
So I'm telling you
You're
to
like,
come
come
on up here with me.
on.
so, so no, seriously, you, it's not an overnight thing, and it's not a single pill situation. But, but there's an old African proverb that is, how does the ant devour the elephant? And the answer is bit by bit. It's bit by
Right,
bit. And what I'd like for you to realize is those small bites in that one moment, it's going to be worth the experience of that small bite for yourself. It doesn't mean that when you leave our session that you won't fall back into potentially old habits and you'll catch yourself still, but that's not that don't worry about that, because it's not so much about letting that go as it is about turning to what's going to feed who you really are. Because the more you build on that, the momentum of that is going to increase so much to the point that, take it from me,
right, right,
somebody who's king people pleaser, um, over time, as you begin to learn and you begin to practice, by the way, that's what's going to be the main thing, right?
exactly,
That you
right,
begin to practice, eventually these elements that you think are powerful will be like a string on your pinky finger. You won't even know they're there, because what's in your mind, what's happening to you now, Joy, more than likely, is you're constantly playing in your mind your past. And when you do that, are you familiar with law of attraction? Not
Yes.
a little
You
bit.
just, yeah, yeah. So you just essentially, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You just, if you
You
think
attract it.
negatively, you attract it, right?
Yep, you attract it. You play whatever story you're playing in your mind, whatever you're pulling into your memory will be reflected in your life. And so if you
Right.
notice, it's always a vicious cycle. You're always finding yourself in
Absolutely.
it's just because you're utilizing that memory faculty for the past.
Right.
Memory is neutral. What I'm going to help you do is remember your future
Right.
so
Right.
that you can see what joy really wants in the future and that your mind is imagining that. And the
Right.
more your mind imagines that, you're going to see that reflected, in your life. Does that make sense? And
Yes.
there are methods to that. There are methods to that. And so one of the first things I want you to do is um, there's several things that I want you to do. I don't know where we are with time. Oh, we're good.
Good.
We're good.
Okay.
There's several things that are you good?
I am. Yes, I am.
Are you good? Okay. There's several things that I want you to do. We're going to probably have time to start on a couple of them. Um, one, um, I want you to think only. Don't write anything down. Just think in terms of your real life, your real experience, what you really enjoy, what you really believe, where you really want to be, what you really want to do, and what you really want to have, and don't censor it. Okay. And then we're going to deal with that when as it as we develop your story. Um, the other thing I want to encourage you to do, if you haven't already, go see Origin
Okay.
by Ava DuMarais.
Okay. I
Get a
haven't seen it.
chance. Do you know anything about the
I
movie?
don't know.
Did you hear about the book Cast?
I have it. It's someplace
You have.
in this room. Yeah, I have. I started reading it. It's actually sitting right here. Yeah, I have it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have it. And I think I started reading it. I don't know why I put it down, but yeah.
Well, go see the movie. The
Okay.
movie is like breathtakingly powerful. Um, so I want to encourage.
Is it in theaters or is it
It is, but it's interesting. They're not pushing it or promoting it, but you probably have to look for it. I'm sure it's in New York.
okay?
Yeah, I'm sure it's in New York. So give yourself a treat to go see that. The other thing, Joy, I'd like for you to do, this is probably the most important thing, um, is, well, let me just say what we see, what we hear, what we smell, and what we taste affect our minds. So I want you to ask yourself, what am I seeing all the time? What am I hearing all the time? What am I smelling even all the time? And what am I tasting all the time? Okay. What you see, the things you see on TV, the news, where you put yourself every day, and how is it making you feel? But also, what are you seeing in your imagination on a regular basis? And how is that making you feel? Also, what are you hearing on a regular basis?
Right.
Note what you're hearing on a regular basis and how is it affecting how you feel, but also what do you hear in your mind, the stories you hear in your mind, and how does that make you feel? Smelling too. What are you smelling all the time? And how does that make you feel? But the sense of smell is connected to your intuition. What are you sensing? That sixth sense. And are you following it or not? And then what are you tasting? What is your diet like? Right? But also, what are you digesting in yourself all the time? Because what I would like for you to do is find the things that you can see that makes you feel good about yourself and good about life. And listen to the things that make you feel good about yourself and about life. And smell and be around sixth sense that makes you feel good about yourself and about life. And then eat the foods and digest the things that's going to make you feel good about yourself and about life. It might be a podcast, it might be a YouTube, it might be music, it might be going to see art, whatever it is for you, maybe going to the gym, I don't know. But I want you to find what that is that really gives you a sense of feeling good about yourself. For me, it's books. And when YouTube came, it was sort of salvation for me. Because YouTube
Really?
literally, yeah, I could go to YouTube and I remember one time prior to 2012, I put in help, positive thinking, help.
Right, right, right.
And guess what?
It came up.
Boom, it populated. If you want to know what you're thinking, just look at your YouTube. Your YouTube is telling you what you're thinking about all the time. It's
Fascinating.
going to populate, self-populate based on what they see as your
Your
interest.
history. Right.
Yeah, yeah. And so if I put in, you know, Cat Williams,
Right.
a whole bunch of stuff is going to come
Right.
up. And then before
Oh
you know, if I
yeah.
put in the whole debacle with TD Jakes, a whole bunch of stuff is going to come up.
Right.
And before I know it, I'm immersed in conspiracy theories and wild,
Right.
parties and puffies and, you know,
Oh yeah. No,
so
it's a mess.
it's a mess. So I could, if I have all of that in my mind and I keep listening to Cat Williams telling me that there's this cabal in Hollywood and that I'll never be an actor unless I wear a dress,
Right. No, seriously. Because that,
and
yeah. Right.
I believe it, then before I know it, I'm gonna be like, oh no, I can't act anymore. They're
Frozen.
never gonna hire
Frozen.
me unless I wear a dress. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, you'll become frozen. You get
Yeah,
freeze. Right.
that's right. And so what I want to do is delete.
Right. Right. Right.
Do what the Jamaican Uber driver told me he did to one of his guys that was being negative to him. He said, "How did you leave him?"
Right. Get it.
Yeah,
Get
delete.
it out. Yeah. I'm really conscious of because I'm so sensitive, very sensitive.
Yeah,
I can't. I have to control what I watch and things that I let myself be exposed to. So I tend not to. I limit my social media to like an hour a day. I'm very, I can't do too much. If I get exposed too much, I lose my day. So I
sure.
have to literally, and like I can't watch the news. I can't do any of that because I'm so sensitive that I'll never leave the house. Everyone's getting shot, right? So it's like,
Right.
so I'm
Yeah.
like, I would never leave the house if I watch the news. I just say a prayer and go about my day and hope that it turns out for the best.
Can I?
And
Can I?
and yeah,
Can I? Didn't mean to interrupt you there. I
no,
wanted to make sure we got to this. Can I ask you, what is it that brings you joy? Joy.
joy. What brings me joy? Being around people. Let me close this door. One second. My
Okay.
daughter keeps on opening the door, and
Okay.
uh, she probably can't hear me, and that's a problem for her, right?
Okay.
um, so I'm a huge tennis fan. I love sports.
Okay.
My dad was a professional athlete. He played basketball professionally, and grew up in a very sports like household. My parents are hippies. I'm definitely the most adult of my older brother and my parents. I am the most responsible one of all of all of them because my parents
Okay.
have now reverted back to their childlike selves. But I huge sports fanatic, love tennis. I've traveled to many of the tournaments. I would say that sports brings me a lot of happiness. Um,
Good.
and also being around good people, like doing, slapping knees and playing cards and just being with the people that I love and that love
Uh-huh.
me,
Hmm.
right? And then also just talking about ways to do with new businesses, like right, new like any kind of entrepreneurial ventures that are like exciting, something enterprising. That also brings me a lot of joy and excitement, right? Talking about a new business venture, or something like that. Anything kind of like new, like things that are new, exciting. Yeah, I love tennis because you see two people who have to have the mental fortitude to to be to have all these eyes peering down at them,
Hmm.
and they have to have the mental fortitude to play as if no one's watching, right? I'm inspired by strength. I'm inspired by people who are able to live their lives in a way that is not impacted by opinions.
Uh-huh.
Um, and that's become a that's a new thing that I've taken on in the past few months or so. I've been spending time with all of my kids play basketball, and I used to always think these parents were so boring. I have nothing in common with them. I have to be at these things, these practices with these parents. I have to talk to them. My God, who wants to talk to these people? You know.
Yeah.
Um, and then I met a few parents that have been brilliant,
Uh-huh.
brilliant people, um, who I judged, Darius. Like I judged them
Uh-huh.
based on their opinion, appearance.
Hmm.
Um, and shame on me, right? And how enlightening and beautiful it has been to shed that, to shed um my opinions of
Uh-huh.
people based on appearance. It's been truly liberating and honestly very rewarding. I've been drawn to this woman who a pretty heavy woman, and I would have never talked to her,
Hmm.
right? And I don't know why. Maybe because I have my own issues of how I was treated by some heavy person in my past, right? But the point is that
Yeah.
um I would have, and had I never spoken to her, I would have, I would have lost out on such a gift.
Uh-huh.
And she might think I'm a psycho because I can't get enough of her. I don't know why my soul is so attracted to her soul, but I just think that she's just this amazing person because she walks in a room and she takes it over, and
Hmm.
not in a just in such a beautiful way. Anyway, being around great people, getting to know
Yeah.
people, um, I don't know if I answered your question, but
You did.
those are
You
the
did.
things that bring me joy.
Okay, good. So these are the things that are, it's the beginning of what I want you to start to do on cue. In other words, you're going to be purposeful in doing what you need to do to get this into your life in some way, shape, or form daily. Um, whatever that means to you, but that's a part of what's going to feed your soul, your emotions. Okay. So I just want you to be intentional and aware of that being around good people, studying entrepreneurship, and being an athlete or athletics is something that really brings you inspiration, really feeds your soul, I would say. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the only other thing I want you to do, and if you can answer it right now, I got three other things I want you to think about, but if you can answer it right now, great. And if you got to think about it, we'll talk about it next time. Do you have anyone in your life or anything in your life that makes you feel amazing? That you're the amazing one in the room?
Um, Interestingly enough, I think that I inspire a lot of my friends.
Okay.
I like to constantly, whether they like it or not, I think they like it. Um, to pump my friends up. I like to pump
Okay.
people up around me. And I think that they enjoy me constantly saying, "You got this. You're gonna be great. You're gonna, or you look great, or you are amazing, or you're so infectious." And I'm constantly giving that to people.
Yeah, well,
That's because
lean.
so much self-doubt, right? So I don't know if that's
Yeah,
that
that
what you
is.
mean? Okay.
Yep. So I want you to, that's a great attribute, and lean into that and own that. Really own that this is a superpower of yours. And because you have it and you're able to give it, you can walk in a room with that energy and be amazing, where people think you're the amazing one. You have people that you see that are amazing, and that's good. To appreciate other people is good, and you should. But also, too, you should also be in situations where you're the amazing,
Right.
and so
With that,
that's good to.
and that's okay to be amazing. It's okay to be the
Absolutely.
amazing one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's the thing. You want to know that it's okay to be the amazing one.
It
It's so
is. It is.
it's safe to be. Like, I think that's
It is.
the
It is. I mean, the thing is that two things. I'm an advocate for you now. All right. I'm
I
here to
appreciate
affirm
that.
you. So I
Right.
say yes. Now, to be amazing doesn't come without challenges. That being amazing under certain situations will be a disruptor. Be okay with that, right? We'll work on that. Your okayness with that, because your amazingness is um, a gifting enough to too many people for any individual person, place, or thing um, to then cause you to not want to be amazing all of a sudden. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay to stand and just be that eagle in front of that chicken who keeps trying to convince you,
Right.
right? You are not
Right.
an eagle because I'm
Right.
not an eagle. So you can't
Right.
possibly be an eagle. So my point is yes, be amazing. Can I ask you a question? Are you tall?
I am.
You're a tall, you have beautiful features. You're a tall,
Thank you.
beautiful Black woman that's brilliant and that's beautiful. And for some people, for whatever reason, that could be terrifying. Because when a Black woman is beautiful and tall and a resonant voice, beautiful features, it could make some people be in awe and other people be just like, right?
I'm gonna charm a killer. I'm gonna
Right. Yeah, no.
and I'm like,
So we're, you know what?
right.
You know what? We're going to work toward, if you feel like you're tall. So if you find your chest collapsing a lot,
Oh,
we're
all
going
the
to work on
time.
changing that.
All the
We're going to work on
time,
changing
right.
that.
And since I was a kid, right? So similar to you, like you were 13 with the same stature. I was 14. I'm 5'9", right? Same stature. I've
Yeah.
been tall
Yeah.
my entire life, right?
Yes.
And it's interesting because even my daughter's 11, and she's 5'7", and she wears a size 10 foot, and she's slouching and she's trying to shrink, and it's amazing how God makes you see yourself. And
Yeah.
now I'm faced with trying to now help her
Yeah.
to step
There's
into her own, right?
Listen, there's more people that need you to be you. That's your tall self, your brilliant self, your beautiful self. When I say resonant, I mean you have a resonant voice. So your
Oh,
voice is in your chest, which you have a powerful speaking voice. There too much of the world needs it and appreciates it and adores it for you to shrink it, because there might be a few others, a few, it's always just a few
right. No,
that
that's
are
all it
asking
takes,
you.
right? Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're gonna work on that. So be amazing, because
Okay.
that feeds your soul too. The other thing is I want you to think about is, what are you doing for your mind? What is can you put into your mind that helps give yourself good thoughts, inspired thoughts, um, enriching thoughts? Um,
I just started a Bible study about 5 weeks ago with a group of women that has been really fantastic for me. I didn't grow up in the church at all. I know nothing about the Bible. I start there, but I know that I feel very connected to. I'm very spiritual, and
mhm.
I am a Christian, right? And so, um, I find myself just constantly starting my day reading some type of passage. Because I know I have so many testimonies of how God has always been instrumental in my life and has guided my steps. And so there's so many testimonies. And so I am faithful in that way. And being part of this Bible study has definitely kept that positivity of knowing whose I am. That has been very helpful for me.
Yeah.
Now I don't know how that resonates with you with this whole
Yeah.
Christian cult thing, but
Oh
I
no, no,
know.
no. I'm no,
Okay.
I'm known to be everything now.
Okay, okay.
I'm all those things.
Right, right,
No,
right.
I'm primarily Christian. I just my relationship is probably different than the whole Judeo-Christian evangelical. I can't say that I'm any of that, but I do. I spend every morning. I'm reading through the Bible. Yeah, I'm reading
Oh,
through the Bible,
amazing.
and this is the book that changed my life, actually. Oh,
What
can you
is that?
see it?
I can't see it. It's
Oh,
faded back. Oh, experiencing depths of Jesus Christ. Oh wow. Okay.
yeah, yeah. But I mean that this is the thing that really, really changed my life. But I also, I look into some of the stories of Ifa, which is African traditional spirituality, and there are many others. But no, that's if that's what feeds your mind, that means I can quote the Bible. So whatever
I
things
don't
are
know it.
true.
I don't. I think I speak
Oh,
very
okay,
candidly and saying I don't know the Bible. I start
it's
with
okay.
like I have an app on my phone that I that that
Yeah,
that feeds me a passage and I
yeah,
try to take it in, but I don't know it. I didn't
yeah.
grow up with it,
Well,
right? But I'm trying, but I am
yeah.
spiritual.
Well, yeah, well, it says, I think in Philippians, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are a good report, whatsoever things brings you joy, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things.
Love it.
So, so if the Bible, the study group is feeding your mind and help transforming your thoughts, what it probably tells you is that the Bible in general, there's scriptures there that you can read on your own even. That's going to help
Right.
you there. And then also, too, probably inspirational material itself.
Yes.
Inspirational material itself is something that you may want to feed on daily to help put the right thoughts in your mind. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Uh, on a regular
Yes.
basis. Okay.
Yes.
And then spiritually, what are you doing for your spirit? Because the spirit person is who we really are. We're not our bodies, we live in
Right.
it.
Right. Right.
What are you doing for your inner life?
I've tried to meditate. One time I meditated, Darius, and it was a terrible day. I like literally got so manic.
Uh-huh.
I was doing things that were just manic.
Uh,
It's like all these different things released.
mm,
And throughout the course of the day, I was just paranoid and like I was just I don't know. I felt like I was like 15 different people living inside my body. My
oh,
brain was on fire. It released
wow.
something. And it scared me so much because I couldn't believe the things that I was saying and things that I was doing. I didn't recognize myself.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
And that was the only time that I actually went into a space where I was like, whoa, what is that? Right? Like,
uh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It literally was like, what was that? And I stopped. It's also pretty, and I think I did that. I didn't even have children yet. This is like a long time ago, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, it's it's um it's tough for me to find the time. Now today I got up at 4:30 in the morning and I went to the prayer room and I kind of like just sat and I just had some conversations, right? So I can find the time now.
Hmm.
I'm just like it, do you touch it? Do you go there with it? Because the last time this happened, remember what happened, right? You like
Yeah.
release your 12 people living inside of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know I don't know if it was just a random meditation or was a technique that you learned. But meditation is not the only way to feed your spirit. And you may, in fact, have not been intentional or fully conscious of what really feeds your spirit, which is okay. Um, but I want to encourage you to see what is it that really it should bring you serenity. It when you feed your spirit, you should enter into a space of peace and serenity.
So
And
I'll
so,
tell you, the other day I went to Manhattan. I live in
uh
New Jersey,
okay,
and I think Manhattan gives me serenity. The
okay,
the as ironic as that is,
uh-huh,
walking down the street in the city feeds me in a way that I really can't describe. There's nothing happening. It's
mm-hmm,
just something about walking down the street in the city that I would literally call myself, I think I was euphoric. It was
mm,
nothing short of euphoria. I walked around like I don't even know where I was. I was like walking around a department store. I'm like just, but
yeah,
something about the experience and
uh,
seeing, I don't know what it is. I can walk blocks and blocks and blocks and just feel um very euphoric.
yeah. Well, and how far are you from Manhattan?
Like 27 minutes.
Okay, okay. Is it by
Yeah.
driving or train?
Either way,
Either
I
way, it's
could
good.
take the train. About 20. It's about a half hour. Either way.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I would then take note to that that's a part of how you feed your spirit, and so if that get if walking in Manhattan gives you euphoria, you want to be able to give yourself the opportunity to do that. Eventually you're going to learn how to have that same experience, and it may be just walking no matter where you are. If you're overseas, even, you've got to get out and walk. You got to find some place where you can reconnect and repeat that experience that you have, and you'll discover what that is. But it doesn't have to be the traditional things, praying, going to temple, mosque, or church, meditating. It doesn't have to be that, because that doesn't give, none of those places give serenity to everybody. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
if going to Manhattan does, you should take note to that. And what I'm trying to encourage you to do is feed yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Oh, when and physically, what do you do for yourself? What bring
Yeah, I work out. I'm pretty
work out?
active. Yeah, I work
Okay,
out. I work out. I would say, you know,
yeah,
3 to 4
good.
times a week. Yeah.
Okay, so you do that for yourself, and is tennis a part of that? Is playing tennis?
It started last week. I started playing tennis again.
Okay, all right.
That
Well,
was
then there you go.
awesome. It was
There
fun.
you go.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, I work out too, but I practice Tai Chi. So if
Uh,
I don't practice Tai Chi, I don't care how often I work out. My Tai Chi, I mean, my. I'm sorry. Let me just send this to voicemail. Um, uh, if uh, if I don't practice Tai Chi, then I'm not, my workout is not going to be the same. Physically,
right,
I have to practice Tai Chi. That's the dominant thing, and I can practice Tai Chi and not work out, and
right.
I'm right.
But that is, you have to have that. So if you don't have your Tai Chi, you
Oh shoot. Oh, you there?
oh,
I
there you
think.
go. Yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah. Yes, I have to do the Tai Chi. So for you, tennis is probably very much a part of something that you have to do.
Yes. I haven't done it in quite some time, but I guess, but I do think that the year 2023 was pretty eye-opening to me because it went by so fast and I didn't do any of the things that I wanted to do. I spent the entire year being led by other people planning my life, planning
Yeah.
me. I never planned anything for myself. And it felt like I was just kind of like a pawn in everybody else's play, and everyone else kind of like led me to where they wanted me to be. But I never took my life, and said, I want to do these things. I didn't give myself the time, the agency to be able to plan me.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was a lost year
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
result, you know.
Yeah. Well, so what I really want you to do is really become conscious of these things, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, but
Mhm.
how they make you feel and how it makes you show up as your best self, a better you, and gives you ultimately the courage to be yourself, your true self. And the more you feed on these levels, the stronger you're going to get. So you were asking, how do I um, stand in the face of people who, are expecting me to continue to be a chicken?
Right,
Well, these things are the qualities of an eagle that's in you. In other words, you know what I mean? That's going to give you strength to fly. It's going to give you strength to fly.
right.
Uh, so I want you to do that. I want you to think on those things. If you're able to go see Origin, and then lastly, think on just your real life story, not the story that you feel like you have to say, but the story that actually is. And when we meet again, which will be if you're able next week, well, are you able to meet more than once a week, or is once a week good enough?
This week, let's see. I think I could be this week. Let me just see. Let
This
me
week?
just
If you can meet this week, that'll be great.
uh, I might be able to meet again on maybe Friday. Is Friday
Friday?
work for you?
Can you do? Let me look on my calendar here. Um, let's see. That would be the 26th.
26.
Yeah, I can do Friday. You want to do Friday at noon?
Friday, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Mhm.
Joy. All right. And okay, I got you
Okay,
down.
perfect.
Friday,
Perfect.
26th at noon. Okay, so do that. Note, I want you to be I want you to be gentle with yourself. So don't feel like you gotta, go through a lot of preparation, and it's not really about that. It's more about just noting for yourself, noting the things we just talked about mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. If you're able to go see Origin, I'd be curious to know your thoughts on that. But even more importantly than that, to think on your own personal true story, because we're gonna use that as an anchor for improving your communication skills in front of people an individual, but more importantly, for your own personal development is really what we're going to be the primary focus of me teaching you the skills now is for your own personal development in mind. Does that make sense?
Now, yes. Now, I guess when you say my real life story, my real life professional story or my real life story?
I think your real life authentic story of where you're really resonating and living. So in other words, you love to help people, but at the same time, you were in situations that wasn't premium. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think if I hadn't have prompted you, you may never have told me that.
Right.
You know
Right,
what I
right,
mean?
right. Yes,
And
yes.
so I don't think you have to share anything that you're uncomfortable with. I just want to find your authentic self and your authentic life, because we want to draw from there, because that's where the real energy is, and that's where you're going to feel more resonant and inspired to speak as we work out certain techniques.
Okay. All
Does
right.
that work?
I may do two separate versions, but I'm gonna try to work on it.
Does that work? I want you to feel comfortable. Does
Yeah,
that work
yeah.
for you?
So it does. It does. I think that
Okay.
it'll be an interesting exercise.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's less about, like, completely feeling like you have to tell like this whole story, but more of just diving into, where what you really feel. Here it is. What you really feel, what you really think, and what you really want to say. What you really feel, what you really think, and what you really want to say about who you are in your life, what you love, what inspires you, where your challenges have been, how you've truly overcome them, and what gives you inspiration.
Okay.
And doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't have to remember all of that. Come with any of that, and then we're going to just kind of lightly, I'm going to lightly teach you some things that's going to help you connect and execute that. And then we'll spend some of the time working on that, and then
Okay.
some of the time actually diving into where you are in that four square of mind, body, soul, spirit.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm a lot. I have anxiety already,
Okay.
but good anxiety, like healthy anxiety.
Oh, good.
Healthy. It's like excitement, I would think, but it's
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know. Anyway,
Yeah.
I appreciate the time, Darius. This has been amazing.
Oh, great. I'm happy. I'm
It's
happy.
been great. It's been great. It's been great. I'm just, it's a lot of digging, but I'm happy that we opened the bag. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm here to help. So,
I appreciate. So I'll see you on Friday.
okay. Okay. You have a great rest of your day. See you then.
Likewise. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.